شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله تعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اقتفى أثره واستنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أيها المسلمون عباد الله. All praise is due to Allah Azza wa Jal. We praise Him. We send our prayers and salutations upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We bear witness and we testify that there is no Lord worthy of worship except Allah Azza wa Jal, and that Muhammad is His final messenger. We know and we admit whomsoever Allah Azza wa Jal guides, no one can lead astray, and whomsoever Allah Azza wa Jal leads astray, no one can guide. Ma ba'd. Over the past few months, anyone that's living in the UK, anyone that's a bill payer, anyone that's someone of responsibility in their household, would have noticed that almost everything is increasing in price. Would have noticed that the money that you would have, the pound, the £100, the £1,000, wouldn't quite stretch as it used to a few years ago. Wherever you look and you turn your back, you see that there's an increase and that the prices are being hiked, and this is affecting most individuals and most households. Even if you were to drive to this masjid, you would see that just the price of fuel is almost 50-60% increase from a year to date. And the reality is that it seems that this price is only going to increase, and this costing is only going to go further as the year progresses. The reality is, for most people, this is a time of hardship. And some of the statistics that try to summarize and give you a snapshot as to what's happening in the UK suggest that a third of the people that are living in the UK are skipping meals just so that they make it through the days and that the food lasts longer. It says that 1 in 10 people in the UK are likely to use a food bank. And in the last year, the number of people and families that are using food banks have surpassed 2 million people. You would see that there are statistics and reports that are people that are not cooking at home because of the energy prices and the cost of gas and electricity in the households. You would see, and it shows that almost half, more than half of the UK, 58% of the population have cut back on heating due to the increase to their energy bill. The reality is that this is hard, and times are hard for a lot of people, and a lot of people are having to choose and pick and make a choice and sacrifice some of the things that they are used to. There are people that are having to reduce and take items out of their shopping basket that they were accustomed to, and sometimes choose and rearrange the schedule. People are going for 3 or 2 meals rather than what they are used to. And if we are honest with ourselves, that this is not the first time that this has happened in history. We know our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam struggled, and he and his companions faced difficulty and hardship. And after the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the companions struggled, and no one exemplifies it more than Omar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu's time, where the companions were hit by the year known as Aam al-Ramada. Where this year of hardship, this year of difficulty, people in Medina almost found nothing to eat. And Omar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu took an oath by Allah Azza wa Jal that he will never sleep full until every single Muslim, all of the kids of the Muslims, would eat and would be full. On the minbar, it's reported that Omar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu's stomach would make sounds and noises out of the hunger that he was facing. And fast forward years after that, during the Abbasi Khilafah, it's reported that there was a drought to the extent people ate anything that is green. You couldn't even find leaves on the trees. And if you pass and you go through history, you will find that hardship and difficulty is only a matter of days alternating. Sometimes you have the luxuries of the dunya at your footsteps, at your doorsteps, and other times Allah Azza wa Jal tests and tries. And even if we were to look across the globe, while we for the last decade or 2 decades have enjoyed luxuries that Allah Azza wa Jal extended to us, many people struggle. If you were to look at people across the globe now, in the Horn of Africa, Kenya, Somalia, animals are dying out, drought. If you were to look across the world and you were to see parts of the desert in Pakistan, you would see horrific scenes of people and animals, livestock, that has nothing left, that they would literally die and it would be skin on bone. And this is not exclusive to these places. Wherever you look, South America, parts of Africa, parts of Asia, people have struggled. But when we face this, and when we are faced by trials and difficulties and hardships ourselves, it's a lot harder to digest, and it's a lot easier for us to understand the concept of hardship and difficulty. But Allah Azza wa Jal told us that this life isn't a life of eternal enjoyment. This life is a life of test, and every single person will be tested. Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ. That we will test you, we will try you by the loss of life, by the loss of provisions, by the loss of fruits, and glad tidings to those that are patient. Hardship, tests and difficulties are part of life. Why does Allah test us? Does Allah want us to just struggle? And does Allah Azza wa Jal want us to not be able to balance our bills? The reality is no. The reality is that this is a test, and people respond in certain ways. The Muslim, when he sees this hardship, when he sees this difficulty, when he sees these finances struggling, the first thing that they do is turn back to Allah Azza wa Jal. Because with all of the financial help and planning and executing and budgeting and the rest of all of that, and all of it should be done, there is still an added dimension for every single person here, is that first and foremost, we are Muslims. We understand that some of us may be at different pay brackets. We may earn differently. We may get different income, but the reality is at the end of the day is the rizq is at the hand of Allah Azza wa Jal. Is that you cannot escape your rizq even if you try. You cannot flee away from that what is meant and written for you, even if you try to. And Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi has lines of poetry where he likens the worry of a human being and he belittles it, saying, how can you worry and Allah Azza wa Jal is the one that provides, and He is the one that provides the birds. And it's the best of example that you can look at from the creation of Allah. A bird will wake up in its nest in the morning not knowing where the food is going to come, not knowing where the meal that day is going to come from, yet you will never see a bird worry. It will move its wings, it will fly to where Allah Azza wa Jal destined for it to be. And no one has ever escaped that which was written for him. Al-Imam Ibrahim ibn Adham rahmatullahi alayhi, one of the great scholars of the past, the people came and complained to him, said to him, "O Imam, غلت الأسعار, the prices have risen." He said, "Wallahi, I will not worry. Even if you see the one seed cost 1 dinar. One seed at the cost of 1 dinar, I will not worry." He said, "Why not, O Imam?" He said that because Allah Azza wa Jal has commanded me to worship Him, and He has promised me that He will provide for me. So I worship Allah Azza wa Jal as He commanded me, and I leave the affairs of Allah Azza wa Jal to Allah Azza wa Jal, knowing and being certain that Allah Azza wa Jal is going to provide for me as He promised me. The first thing every single Muslim should do is that look at that which you have and possess rather than that which you are missing and you are short. Muslims, or we as individuals, sometimes worry and struggle to adapt and accept a change of lifestyle, a change of circumstance. Some of us may want everything that we've had and the luxuries of the dunya without being unwilling and being in a position to let go of some of it. Our mindset is that this is the level of luxury that we are enjoyed to, or that we are accustomed to, and we don't want to take a step back from this level of luxury. That this is what I have, and this is usually what my paycheck brings me, and I want to maintain this. Some people, you will find that it's difficult, it's hard for them to fuel up their car because they will think a full tank was 60, 70 quid. Now I am paying £100. But the reality is, what we should look is the first element or the first thing that this trial should test you or should teach you, or this hardship and this test should show you, is how much Allah has given us. Is that how much we have? How much do we possess? And even look at those across the globe that are struggling. You are still better, and we are all still better financially. Regardless of how tough times get, there will be people that are worse off than you. That's why when the Prophet ﷺ tells us, he says, "Unzuru," look at those إِلَى مَنْ هُوَ أَسْفَلَ مِنْكُمْ. Look at those that are beneath you when it comes in the dunya. Those that possess less than you. And do not look at those that have more than you. And it's more befitting and it's more likely that you will abandon and you will look down upon the favor of Allah if you are always eyeballing things that are above you and above your pay grade. If you as a Muslim are always looking at billionaires and always looking at people that are earning top money and people that have wealth that's open to them and they are spending it in silly ways, this is only going to add to your worry and stress. This is only going to add to your concern. This is only going to add to you feeling like what you have isn't enough and isn't sufficient. If you as a Muslim look at those or look at the people that have less than you, you are likely or more likely to be thankful to that which Allah Azza wa Jalla has given you. You are more likely to appreciate. And Allah Azza wa Jalla tells us, وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. Hardships require change to adapt. Some people here will be facing a greater hardship than others when it comes to finances. Some people here will be affected far greater. For some of us, this hardship or this difficult time just means that we need to use a little bit more of our savings. For other people, they are living paycheck to paycheck and they are stretched and are making every single pound last. The reality is that when hardship comes, there's nothing wrong for a Muslim to look back and take away some of the luxuries, take away some of the things, change. It doesn't necessarily have to be that you go on holiday at a certain time. It doesn't necessarily have to be that you have certain branded things, regardless of where it may be. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to eat and enjoy and have every single luxury. And Omar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, he has a beautiful story with one of the companions, Jabir ibn Abdullah radiallahu anhuma. And the Jabir ibn Abdullah was one of the greatest companions when it comes to hadith. He was one of the 7 companions that are known as al-mukthirun min al-hadith, that those that narrated over 1,000 hadith. He saw Jabir ibn Abdullah radiallahu anhuma carrying meat and heading. He said to him, "Oh Jabir, what is this that you have?" He said to him, "Me, O Amir al-Mu'mineen." He said to him, "Is this something that you regularly eat? Is this something that you regularly enjoy?" He said to him, "What's wrong, O Amir al-Mu'mineen?" He said to him, "I do not regularly enjoy these things because I don't want to face Allah Azza wa Jal." And then he tells me, "Adhabtum tayyibatikum fi hayatikum ad-dunya." All of the good that Allah Azza wa Jal has had for you in store, He's given it to you in the dunya. No hardship, no difficulty, no test, no struggle. And you face Allah Azza wa Jal, and all of the good that was ordained for you, you've taken it and you've cashed it in the dunya. Hardship and difficulty is a sign that Allah Azza wa Jal loves a person. And the Prophet ﷺ mentions in the hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari, إِنَّ اللَّهَ إِذَا أَحَبَّ عَبْدًا أَصَابَ مِنْهُ. If Allah Azza wa Jal loves a servant, He will test him. He will try him. There will be an element of struggle to see how this individual, to see how we as individuals respond to the tests and trials that Allah Azza wa Jalla sets for us. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله على إحسانه والشكر له على توفيقه وامتنانه. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له تعظيما لشأنه. أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أما بعد. The rise of cost of living is one of the reasons that there's a rise in people's worries in the UK. There's a greater emphasis when it comes to mental health, and there's a link between people's worries about their future and that which they have and that which they need and that which they don't possess, and an impact on people's mental health. As Muslims, the Prophet ﷺ gave us a profound mindset that every single person was to change and look at the future, the worry of the future would change. There wouldn't need to be a concern, and there wouldn't need to be someone thinking that far ahead. Prophet ﷺ told Abdullah ibn Omar radiallahu anhuma, he said that man asbaha aminan fi sardi indahu qutu yawmi, that the person that wakes up safe in their house or safe in their area, safe where they are living, where they are residing, they have the provisions of that one day. فَكَأَنَّمَا سِيقَتْ لَهُ الدُّنْيَا بِحَذَافِيرِهَا أو حَذَافِيرِهَا, that it's as if he's possessed all of that which is on the world from the different corners of the globe. What does this hadith mean? As a matter of fact, if you were to have savings of millions of pounds, could you possibly spend today more than what you need today? No. Because even if you were to spend and be wasteful, all you are going to do is spend for that one particular day. That's all you're going to be able to do. That's all you're going to be able to achieve, is eat for that one day. Can you eat for a month? You can't. Can you store that food for weeks to come? You can't. You're going to eat for that one day, and that food, as the Prophet ﷺ told us, that the wealth of the person is one of three things. That which he eats and he goes to waste, akramakumullah. And that's one of the main portions of wealth, or the majority of the spend of wealth. You are not able to eat, or you are not able to use up on that day, except that which you need on that day. That's it. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ tells us that if you as an individual have that which is sufficient for you on that day, then verily that is sufficient for every single Muslim. And that's the way that we should live. If we have sufficient, or we have enough for our day, for our week, for our month, there's no point of thinking about the next paycheck. And some Muslims, these trying and testing times, including with this point, shows a negative side. And some Muslims think that what I am going to do is, as soon as these difficulties and hardships come, I am going to cut off my direct debit. I am going to stop donating to the masjid. I am going to stop giving. I am going to try, save and secure and squeeze my money in my bank account. And there's one of the great companions, one of the 10 promised Jannah, Talha ibn Ubaidah radiyallahu anhu. On one of the days in Medina, 700,000 dinar were brought to him. And it was from his wealth that he sent as a business, and this money was returned to him. And he couldn't sleep that night. And he kept walking around and thinking about that money. His wife, the daughter of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, Kulthum ibn Abi Bakr, said to him, what is it? What's the concern? He said, this money. He said to her, what does someone think of Allah Azza wa Jalla? What a negative thought someone has of Allah Azza wa Jalla for them to save all of this money. For them to be storing their money away. Meaning that when you hide your money and you are trying to shield it and protect it, you have a negative perception of Allah Azza wa Jal. You assume that by you giving and donating this money, you are losing out on this money. And he couldn't sleep that night. And his wife gave him the option, the idea. He said the next morning, split the money between the Muhajirin and the Ansar. He woke up and he split all 700,000 dinars upon the Muhajirin and the Ansar. His wife came to him and said, have you kept anything? He said, there's nothing except a small money back there, and they checked, it had 1,000 dinars. At times of difficulty and hardship, turning to Allah Azza wa Jalla with tawbah, with repentance, giving at a state and a fear of poverty, because that's one of the best times for charity, and also changing our mindset and our mindset and our perspective when it comes to wealth, helps us and eases our concerns when it comes to finances. Ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to ease everyone's affairs. هذا والله أعلى وأعلم ونسبة العلم إليه أسلم. أيها المسلمون إن الله أمركم بأمر بدأ فيه بنفسه وثنى بملائكته وثلث بكم أيها المسلمون فقال إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على خير خلق محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وأقم الصلاة.